Hello, Trauma Rock Stars. I have a super fun and exciting interview for you today. This is Niajae. She is a sound therapy practitioner, and I'm so intrigued about sound therapy. I know you just had an incredible event on Friday, right?
Yes, the floating sound bath.
That looked incredible. And
Thank
I want to
you.
talk to you about what you're doing because I think it's really great to have these other options out there for people, especially for my audience we're all trauma survivors. So I'm trying to provide a platform of other options that are out there for people. So let's just go back to the beginning. Who is that? Oh,
That's Paris. She likes to sit in the seat with me when I do interviews.
oh, she's so precious. Well,
She's my
Paris,
assistant.
welcome to Trauma Rockstars. So let's just go back. I just want to go back to the basics when you were a kid and how you got into all of this, because this is just so inspiring for me.
Oh, wow. So back to my childhood. So I had a challenging childhood. My mom moved around a lot and it didn't create any stability. She was a single mom, so she was doing the best that she could. But from my perspective, I didn't have any stability, any security. We moved pretty much every year. In 12 years of grade school, I went to 11 different schools, 4 different high schools alone in 3 different states.
Oh my goodness.
So that just paints a picture of my childhood, but it created an inner, our fur babies want to be part of the interview.
This is Sunny Bunny. He's part of Trauma Rockstars too, so he can pop in and say hi for a minute. No, my love.
Okay. They felt that fur baby energy.
They sure did. So 11 different schools in 12 years in 3 different states.
Yes.
So you morphed into a chameleon.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So I went through a lot of therapy to look at it from a positive perspective. So when I looked at it from a positive perspective, it created an inner resilience in me. I can also walk into any room and feel comfortable because I was always the new girl in every school. So I am really good with meeting people and being friendly and things like that. So I think I made the best of it. And I just always wanted to do my own thing because I had to learn how to. So I started my first business at 19, which I've had 3 brick and mortar businesses now. That business was a dance studio, dance and fitness studio. My second business was dance and aerial, but I incorporated mindset into it because I pretty much was teaching regular women how to do aerials like Cirque du Soleil. And a lot of them had fear. I can't do that. I don't have the strength. I don't have the flexibility. So I incorporated a lot of mindset and self-development into it. And I saw how it impacted everyone's lives when they felt more confident in themselves. And so I wanted to learn more because I'm like, it's not just they gain strength, physical strength, they gain internal strength, and it impacted how they showed up in relationships, how they showed up in their careers. So I'm like, there's definitely something to this, the mind-body connection. And then fast forward a few years, I sold that studio and I was doing mostly self-development, mindset, online business coaching. And then I discovered sound therapy and I fell in love. This is the piece that connects everything, the mind, body, the energy. It brought it all together for me full circle.
Well, so you're 19, you start your own business. So you're already a trailblazer as a teenager. At what point, because you said, I just want to, we don't talk too much about this, but I just want to get in your head a little, because you said you did go through some therapy and you realized you needed to twist it into a positive. Was there something specific that was like aha moment for you? Because that's got to be so hard to do because none of us know who we are as teenagers, even in our 20s, 30s sometimes. And how did you have that will to think like that? Was it a great therapist you had, or was there just a switch that happened?
I think it was a combination of both. I think that I've always been intuitive in the sense of leaning into what am I meant to learn from this? How am I meant to grow?
Mhm.
And I think that a lot of my personality probably started as a trauma adaptation. I had to learn how to adapt quickly. And it's just always been that.
Yeah.
And so I guess having a therapist that can help you peel back the layers and see the blind spots of, yes, this was a trauma adaptation that started in your childhood because of your lack of stability. And it's also something that keeps you in a loop. So if you can, I'm a huge advocate for parts work. So IFS, internal family systems. So if you can take that part that was adapted from this unfortunate thing and put it in a better role, because the concept of IFS is there are no bad parts, they're just in bad roles. So taking it and putting it in a role that's actually serving you, then you can apply it to things like business and growth and self-development and really step into your power.
What does IFS stand for again?
Internal family systems.
I've never heard of this before.
Oh,
And a ton of listeners have never heard of this before. How did you get introduced to that?
So I read a lot of self-help books. I follow a lot of people that talk about self-development, emotional intelligence, and there's different variations of it. So IFS is a clinical one. Therapists will study IFS and specialize in that. But you also have people like Teal Swan that has fragmentation is like how she names it. But some people just say parts work. And a really good example of this is the movie Inside Out. It's a Pixar movie. Have you seen it?
Yes.
So it's basically the different parts that we have. And so it's a really great way to even help children and teenagers understand that we have different parts. So you have joy and sadness. And then the Inside Out Part 2, they introduce anxiety, which I just think is so brilliant. So if you haven't seen that movie, definitely watch Part 1 and 2 because it's so brilliant and it's done in a way where it's digestible to understand we have these different parts of us that all play a really important role in who we are. And it's learning how to allow a specific part to be in the driver's seat at the right time. And that is essentially what parts work is.
Oh my gosh. So I've seen one a long time ago. I'm going to go watch it again now. And then I'm going to watch two because I'm so intrigued right now by this. So now let's talk about your sound therapy because I know a little about this, but I'm very intrigued by this as well. And tell me, you first learn about sound therapy and it connects all the dots for you, right?
Yes. So I went through a few different certifications, and because I was already in therapy, because I was already working with a business therapist, identifying how trauma shows up in our business, when I went through the sound therapy certifications, no one mentioned trauma. And I'm like, this is getting in our cells, in our bodies, in our DNA. How can you not mention trauma? We have so much trauma stored in our bodies. So I saw a huge gap in the trainings for sound therapy. So I actually created my own certification. It's a trauma-informed sound therapy practitioner certification. Okay. But to back up, the thing about sound therapy that I love is that it combines the mental, emotional, and the physical. So the sound waves, when you play a crystal singing bowl, the sound waves, it's healing on a cellular level and it's activating our brain. So we have 5 different brain waves. And when we meditate, we go into our theta brainwave. If someone does hypnosis, they're taking you into that theta state. And that's where our blocks and limiting beliefs and subconscious patterns lie. So the healing frequencies is helping us access things that are not in our awareness. So we're able to get to the trapped emotions, the trauma adaptations, the blocks, the heaviness that we have stored away that we don't really want to get to. We don't really want to look at it.
Everything we've compressed.
Exactly. So it's helping bring it up. And then I specialize in somatic sound therapy. So the Himalayan bowls on the body. And so that is soothing the nervous system. The vibration soothes the nervous system. So it tells your body and your nervous system, it's okay to allow this emotion to come up. We're safe. So creating that safety in the body so you feel comfortable going to that place, because we suppress things for a reason because it's painful. We don't want to look at the hard things that have happened to us or the traumatic things that have happened to us. But if we can do it in a safe way where our nervous system, because sometimes when you talk about it in traditional talk therapy, it feels like you're reliving it all over again.
It can trigger and re-traumatize you.
Exactly. So what that does is it creates tension in the body, and you're tightening up all over again. And that's sending a warning sign to your nervous system. But with the somatic sound therapy, the bowl on the body, that vibration is soothing your nervous system. It's saying you are safe. We can go to this place in a safe way to where you don't feel in that fight, flight, freeze mode, to where your defense mechanism in your brain is actually going to block you from going to that place. So I believe in gentle healing. I believe in healing at a pace that's safe for the nervous system. Because if you think about people who are like, I don't remember my childhood, it's because your brain have literally blocked it out because it's too painful to revisit. So when you create that safety in the body, that I can remember this and I'm still safe in my body.
It's so funny because up until recently, I didn't really have a full understanding of how much trauma affects your nervous system. Now I'm so in touch with my body now that I know exactly what, if I feel even the slightest thing, I know what's going on. But I had no idea. And I'm like, oh, well, that explains a lot once I realized it. And it's not even the suppressing isn't even the most harm. It's the nervous system that is, like you said, it's just your brain is trying to protect you. And until you can release that, and I would say now I'm like maybe 75% released of my trauma, but I feel like with that scene sounds like I saw the event you had Friday. I wasn't there, but maybe next time, but it was beautiful. It was it looked, I can't even imagine in person what it was like. Do you do these retreats often?
So the floating sound baths I do about once a month. Next month, I have 2 coming up because I'm doing a couples only one and then one that's open to everyone.
Oh, and you're literally floating on this beautiful inner tube in a pool. And it just looks so soothing. I don't know who wouldn't want to be a part of these events because so you take the Himalayan bowl, you're laying there and you take the Himalayan bowl and you set it on top of you.
So 2 different things. So in my actual studio, so Bliss Wellness Studio in Tampa, Florida, we do the somatic session where the bowl is on top of you. So you can place it in different areas. So part of somatic sound therapy, where it's different from just anyone playing sound bowls, we research the emotional root cause of physical ailments. So if someone comes in and says, I'm experiencing back pain, I can probably tell them what's going on with them emotionally. My left knee hurts. I can tell them what's going on with them emotionally. So we use the Himalayan bowls to target the areas of pain, tension, and inflammation to release the blocks and the trapped emotions, and also get energy flowing through the meridians. So a lot of what I do is based in Chinese medicine. So getting that energy flow will release the heaviness that we're holding onto in our body, because a lot of times people dissociate and they don't actually realize what's going on in their body. So what I focus on is embodiment. So when you say, I know what's going on when I feel it, that's embodiment. It's knowing that my heart is racing a little faster than normal. I need to take some deep breaths to slow my heart rate down. I'm feeling a little tense in my shoulders. You can look at a person and tell their level of anxiety because their shoulders are so tense and tight or hunched over, or when someone's crossing their arms, that's a defense mechanism. You're protecting your heart. And so these are the types of things that I work with people on in my studio. And then the actual floating sound bath is a special event that I host once or twice a month. And you're floating in a pool float while the healing frequencies are playing, but floating, it's a weightlessness because life feels heavy. So it almost feels like all of the heaviness that life has piled on your shoulders is just released, and you can just be completely weightless. And the healing frequencies, I have empowering affirmations. This past one, we had a massage therapist there that was offering massages before and after the floating sound bath. So it was really magical. And I think that because life is so intense and we're realizing that suppressing emotions actually impacts our health. So a lot of people are gravitating more towards wellness and healing events on a Friday night instead of going to a club, because
going clubbing.
Exactly. We need something to counterbalance how intense life is.
Especially the grind of the week and trying to just maintain jobs and families and spouses and children. I want to go 2 questions. Can you explain exactly what somatic is? And also somebody was to come to you and want to do sound therapy, how long are the sessions?
So somatics is the mind-body connection. It's serving your sensations to understand what your body is communicating to you. So somatic experiencing, I think, was probably one of the main modalities. And it just helps you understand, if you feel frustrated, where do you feel it in your body? And sending your awareness to that specific area, breathing into that area to help dissolve that heaviness, dissolve that emotion, so it's not trapped in the body. Now, what I do is I incorporate sound therapy with it, where you have a Himalayan bowl where that vibration is targeting that area. So if you're like, I feel it in my lower back, is root chakra, it's overwhelm, it's safety, stability, security, finances. So we have a lot of people with lower back pain. I can place a bowl directly on the back, and I can send you pictures if you want to overlay them while we're talking about it in the video.
Sure.
But placing a bowl directly on the lower back helps dissolve that heaviness that's being trapped in the body. And I love to educate my clients on the emotions we hold in specific areas. We hold shame, for example, in the middle of our back, and we hold fear in our knees. Our knees is our mobility. So when we have a fear of taking a step forward or doing something in our lives, a lot of times that will create aches and pains in our knees.
Get down, my love.
Hi, buddy.
So in knees, it's all muscular skeletal, basically. So you can, so it's so funny because I feel like there's so many, and this isn't just people that are trauma survivors, because say half of us go through trauma, which is unfortunate. The other
I actually believe everyone has experienced trauma. We just had a pandemic. That was trauma for the whole entire world. Our nervous systems are not the same post-COVID.
No, and that's actually statistically proven. It's so funny because I was just talking to somebody and they said they have never seen more trauma than they have in the past 4 years, because the first year of COVID, everybody was just in shock, right? And then things started kicking in, and now we're starting to see the residual effects of that.
Exactly.
And so I guess my point is I just want people to know that even if you say you haven't been through trauma, there's been some kind of, maybe personally, but there's been some kind of form of trauma incorporated in your everyday life that you don't even realize, that could be blocking things.
Exactly.
And if you feel lost at all, or anybody that maybe is trying to find their purpose, they don't know where to begin, they just feel stuck, this sounds like a great opportunity for them to just find peace, because you can't have clarity without peace, right? And this sounds like this has got to be so explain to me the sessions. What are the sessions like?
So I do group sessions and I do private sessions. So we have a schedule of group sessions. Right now we're located inside of Bella Prana Yoga Studio. So it's very similar to going to a yoga session. It's an hour long. We provide mats and bolsters and everything. So the room is really cozy. So you go in, you feel the warmth when you walk in. And to start out, just doing a regular somatic sound bath is best, to just lay there and just be. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to act a certain way, be a certain way. You can just be. And so the first step is just allowing yourself a moment to pause and just be. And that is the start of creating safety in the body, so we can start working on all of the other things. I think that a lot of modalities are too fast, too much, too soon, and it's intense and it zaps the nervous system. And then it turns into performative healing, where you have to come up with something to make it feel like you accomplished something. But I like to just create a safe space for people to just be.
How many people do you see that have never, don't even know what that is like to just be, have never even taken
Most of them.
I know. Most people don't even probably understand what that's like. And it's got to be, because I remember when I first started meditating, it's very frustrating. And it's called for a reason, meditation practice, but it's got to, for the first time for somebody just to completely be and relax. So you don't find it difficult for them to get into a Zen, I guess you'd call it?
So I posted about this recently. Our objective isn't to help people clear their mind.
Right.
It's to observe what's going on in your mind, in your body, in your heart. So there's no, I did this wrong, I can't meditate. There's still so many health benefits of doing these sessions, even if you can't clear your mind, because clearing your mind is actually step 3. Step 1 is observing what's going on in your mind. And someone, a yoga instructor in, I think he's in Trinidad, gave me this really good example. So our society's definitely a hustle culture, like hustle, grind, go, go, go. And a lot of people don't take the time to go within to observe what's going on. So the yoga instructor said, if you've been gone for a while and you haven't talked to your wife, and then you come home and tell her to shh, she's going to be mad, right? You're trying to silence her when she's trying to tell you something. So that's how our minds and bodies are trying to tell us something. So step 1 is listening to what your body's communicating to you, listening to what's racing in your mind. That's important. And it's going to keep going. And the more you try to silence it without actually acknowledging it, the more frustrated you're going to be. That's why people get frustrated with trying to meditate. So step 1 is actually observing what's going on in your mind, observing what's going on in your body, observing the sensations, and then deciphering between, is this serving me or is it not? Sometimes we have to pay attention to things that are worrying us, and sometimes it's out of our control. So the things that are out of our control, that are just nagging at us that we can't do anything about, we just have to let it go, choose to let it fade away. And then when we've acknowledged the things that we need to acknowledge, because some fears and emotions are valid, then we can clear our mind, because we've given space to acknowledge the things that are bugging us and send acceptance and compassion to ourselves and to our bodies. And then it's easier to clear your mind without that frustration.
It's so funny you're saying that. I think that's so important, because we don't want to push the thoughts away. We want to go all in and really understand why they're here, what they mean, how they make us feel. And then tune's going to put you in touch with your nervous system.
Yes, exactly.
So you said something before is step 3. How many total steps are there for sound bath therapy?
I personally feel that there is no arrival. People say, oh, I'm healed. We peel the layers back. It's a never-ending blooming onion. We constantly peel layers back. And even if you have done work around a specific wound, it doesn't mean that wound is no longer a wound. Sometimes it leaves a scar, right? If you lose someone you love, you never get over that. You never heal that, right? It's always going to be a wound. And so I think there's a misconception that 8 sessions and I'm healed. Am I healed yet? It's a practice that we're learning tools to guide us through life, because we're going to need those tools. If you have a mother wound, for example, and you did therapy around it, the second you have children and you become a mother, it's going to trigger all of those same things, but you have the tools to say, let me check in to see what I'm feeling. Let me check in and see what is making my nervous system feel tense right now. Let me check in and see what pain I'm still holding onto in my body, and send love and compassion to that part of me that did hold this resentment towards my mom, or whatever the case may be. And then losing your mom, even if you didn't have a good relationship, that's going to trigger it all over again. So we have these patterns that will trigger old wounds. But what somatic sound therapy is doing is teaching you how to connect to your body, connect to your heart, and have a healthy way to navigate when emotions come up, when triggers come up, because the triggers don't go away. And I think that's a misconception that a lot of people feel like, I'm going to do this plant medicine ceremony and then this is no longer an issue. It's still going to be an issue, but it's learning the tools to navigate it in a healthy, embodied, and grounded way.
And I think too, it's so true, because through my therapy, it actually got a little worse right after, because I had my big aha moment. I did MDMA, and because I was like, my trauma, I have different layers to it. And actually the first month or two after that, it's not that it got worse. I was just really looking at things differently and more clearly. So they were right at the forefront. I think what you're describing is so important, because we all want to be better. We all had things happen to us, whether we're as children or adults, that whether it's through family or whatever, that we don't, like, we learn what we don't want to do. So I think breaking that cycle, this is such a great step for that, to be able to do that.
I think there's so many environmental challenges where we have heightened energy. I follow Schumann resonance. So the energy surges that we have, the erratic weather contributes to that. The earth is going through a purge. So that in itself, when we have an energy surge, that creates heightened energy in our bodies. Usually people have headaches and more body aches and pains and higher anxiety. Then we have Wi-Fi everywhere. So we're taking in this EMF that's slowing our cells down. So people feel exhausted, or they're addicted to coffee. Don't talk to me until I've had my coffee, because people are exhausted. Their cells are literally slowing down because of how much EMF we're taking in. There's Wi-Fi everywhere. If you think about when we go outside and there's Wi-Fi in a park, think about how strong that signal is to have Wi-Fi outside or through a whole entire building. And we're taking that in. So that's impacting us physically, emotionally, mentally as well. So we have these environmental challenges that we're facing. Then post-COVID, our nervous systems are still repairing from that. So a lot of people don't feel they have the capacity to even do the inner work. They just want to feel good. They just want to survive. And life is demanding. It's happening so fast. Technology is advancing. We're trying to keep up, and everyone's exhausted. So you don't really want to do the inner work. But the problem is, if we don't do the inner work, then it turns into autoimmune diseases and cancers. So we have to do the inner work to not only have internal peace mentally and emotionally, but also for our physical health. And it's proven that our nervous system repairs in 6 to 8 months. So I would say if someone can commit 6 to 8 months of consistent self-care, breath work, sound therapy, something gentle, because the nervous system doesn't repair with harshness. It repairs with gentleness. So something gentle, like gentle breath work, because there are intense breath work modalities that I don't agree with. Our nervous systems need gentleness to feel safe to repair, because if it's something intense or harsh, it'll keep you in fight, flight, or freeze. And your nervous system doesn't repair in flight or freeze.
So I always knew fight or flight. I never knew the freeze. And that is a key part, a key ingredient of this. And you said something so interesting. I never thought about what the electronics and the Wi-Fi and everything in the world, because like you said, there's no escaping it unless you go off the grid. And even if you go off the grid, there's still satellites above us. And how do you cleanse your body from that every day?
Therapy.
Yeah.
That's why I'm a huge advocate for a sound bath once a week, not just for the emotional regulation and healing, but literally for the cellular repair because of how much EMF we're taking in.
Is that something that is guided or somebody can do on their own?
Yes, actually, I love that you asked this because I have a healing app that teaches somatic sound therapy for self-healing, how to use the sound bowls at home.
Okay.
In the privacy of your own home. So I guide you through all of it. I'm also talking about where we hold different emotions. So if someone's listening that's not in Tampa or the Tampa Bay area, you can download the healing app to learn how to do it at home.
Oh, that's incredible. So you'll send me all that and I'll include it when we air this and everything. I think that would be so helpful because I think people are like, well, where do I start? And start gently, be kind to yourself, and they can do it right through the app that you have.
Yes.
Do you do virtual sessions or is that difficult? That's got to be difficult.
Well, you can do virtual sessions. I say with virtual sessions, you're receiving about 40 to 60% of the healing benefits because you can listen to healing frequencies and it's still activating your brain. But when you're in person, that's when it's healing on a cellular level because the waves are in the room. So being in the room with a sound bowl. But again, with my app, I teach people how to use the bowls at home. I do sell Himalayan bowls and crystal singing bowls you can get anywhere these days. You can get them on Amazon. So teaching people how to do it at home because I really think we need that cellular repair every single day. If you play a bowl on your chest every single day, 10 minutes before bed, it will drastically improve anxiety and the heaviness and digestion, better sleep. It will drastically improve your emotional and physical well-being.
Oh, now are the bowls, because I know some of them are huge. So
they do come in different sizes. So when it comes to playing it on the body, I recommend an 8 or 10-inch bowl. And I have some bowls. Let me grab it. So this is a Himalayan bowl. This is an 8-inch bowl. So anything smaller than an 8-inch, it probably won't do much, but they do come smaller. So 6-inch bowl will be really good for ankles or wrist or anything like that. But to actually play on your body, so playing it on your heart chakra will be really good. So one of the things, I do wellness scans at my studio, and one of the things that is very common is stuck energy right here. So what I hear people say is, oh, a Reiki practitioner told me I have a block in my throat chakra. What's actually happening is heaviness on the heart. It's not moving to the upper chakras or moving down. It's literally stuck right here. So it looks like just stuck energy in the throat chakra, but it's actually heaviness on the heart that just can't move. So it's stuck right here. So playing a bowl on that area will help dissolve the heaviness that's on the heart. So grief, disappointment, frustration, heartache, resentment, all of that we hold here. So when someone has anxiety or heartburn or panic attacks, like that's stuck energy right here. Heart attacks, strokes, it's all because they're not dissolving the heaviness. They're suppressing energy that just stays stuck here. So playing this on the heart chakra will help minimize panic attacks. It'll help with heartburn. It will help with all of the different ailments that come from that. Then we have the solar plexus. So that is above the belly button, and playing a bowl there not only will help emotionally, but also it'll help with digestion. We have so many gut issues, but our body doesn't digest when it's in fight, flight, or freeze. So everyone's nervous system being on edge, that's why we're not digesting, in addition to our food having so much crap in it. But it's mostly because fight, flight, or freeze, your nervous system is preparing for attack. And so it's reserving the energy that it would use for quality sleep or digestion. It's reserving that energy for attack because it's on edge. It's sensing danger. That's why you have to create safety in the body for true healing to happen. And then the lower abdomen area is the sacral chakra. So playing a bowl in that area will be really good, especially for women with fertility issues, with cysts, fibroids, endometriosis, PCOS. And these things are rampant right now. So many issues around that, but we hold a lot of emotion there. We hold repressed anger and rage. And usually women are taught to be sweet and easygoing, and things like anger and rage are not acceptable. But it doesn't mean we don't feel it. We just don't acknowledge it, and it becomes trapped in the body, and we trap it in that specific area, which then leads to the cysts, the fibroids, the endometriosis, the PCOS. It's all of the repressed anger and rage that we haven't been allowed to navigate or express.
Right.
So playing the bowl on that area, it'll help with menstrual cramps. It'll help with fertility. It'll help with
perimenopause.
Yes, that's another huge thing right now.
Menopause. It's a lot of people are struggling and suffering that don't need to be. So back up to your heart chakra, that's basically where you carry all your stress, right?
So we carry our stress in our neck and shoulders, but it is all in that area. So one of my favorite things, I'm a business owner, so I carry a lot of stress in my neck and shoulders. So having a bowl, and when you put it on the back, you want a bigger bowl. So it's inch, 12 inch, they even go up to 14 inches.
You just lay down on your stomach and then you put the bowl right on your back.
So I teach couples as well to play it on each other before bed. It's so good, and you sleep so good. So having the bowl on the back will help with stress, because we're carrying stress all in our neck and shoulders and upper back. So the upper back is my absolute favorite place to place a bowl. I love it on my back. If I could have someone play it on my back every night before bed, I will be so much happier.
You have to teach Paris.
Right?
With the heart one, you said to do that 10 minutes before bed every night, just to, and then right above your belly button, what is that called?
That's the
solar plexus. So that's something that you do for your overall gut health, for instance.
For gut health. And then emotionally, the solar plexus controls our confidence, our self-worth, our personal power, courage, boundaries. And boundaries and people pleasing is something I definitely work with women on. So that's a really good area, grounding into your power.
That's amazing. And just so for something like that, because a lot of people are suffering from gut health and emotional, which the emotion is connected with your gut health. How often would you recommend somebody do that?
Honestly, if someone was to purchase an 8-inch bowl, playing it on their body. So you can, if you did 10-15 minutes before bed, you can start at your lower abdomen, move it up to the middle of your belly, and then move it up to your heart, and then go to bed. If you do that every night, 10-15 minutes, it really will drastically change your well-being, mentally, physically, and emotionally.
And that's through your app. People can get assistance with that through your app, help doing that.
So the app includes a full somatic sound therapy for self-healing course. So it's teaching you how the proper mallet to use, how to hold the mallet, how to place the bowl. I have some guided meditations where you can activate the bowl as you're listening to the meditation. It has a bunch of meditations, really beautiful meditations, journal prompts, inner child healing, shadow work. It's like a full healing journey bestie app.
Well, I'm glad you brought up shadow work, because I wrote myself a little note because I wanted to ask you about with shadow work, which I'm just starting. I'm a newbie. I'm just starting to really get into shadow work myself. But I wanted to have you explain the difference between performative confidence and grounded confidence.
Yes. So this is a post I just posted about this, and
I saw, that's why I'm like, you need to explain this, because I don't know what it is. So I'm sure a lot of other people don't either.
So performative confidence is based in ego. So this is a person that can be really charismatic, but they're name dropping, they're talking about all of their accolades, but it's coming from a place of ego and not grounded confidence. So Ego has to prove something. That's someone that has to prove something. That's someone who needs external validation. That's someone who has to prove their value to others. So they're talking about it in a way where it's like, look at me, I'm cool. I'm the ish. I don't know if I can curse on here. So it's kind of that energy.
Go for it. Well, it's funny you're mentioning that, because I wonder, because we all know that person. And we've all met that person numerous times, and it's a front because of insecurities and whatever else is going on. And it's got to be related to trauma and things like that, and the inner child work and stuff. So I can spot that person a mile away now. And I want people out there that maybe can relate and be like, I might be that person. It's okay.
We've all been there.
You are that, you have that ego front right now, I guess I don't know if I'm saying it properly, but you're going out with that facade and that energy that you're putting out there. It's okay to talk about it, think about it. What would you tell that person?
I honestly believe we all have insecurities, and it's about finding the root of that insecurity. And usually it stems back to childhood. So a person can appear the most confident person in the world, but if their inner child, let's just say they were made fun of because they had on old shoes, well, just something random, and they wear a pair of shoes and their partner or friend says something about their shoes, that may actually trigger that younger version of them. So when we have these facades that we wear, it's not that it's not a part of our personality. It's part of our personality was developed to cover up something that actually causes us pain. So when we can go back to the root of the pain and nurture that part of us. So let's just say my 7-year-old self, if I can nurture my 7-year-old self, and I know that I have that connection to my inner child, then that ego part, because I don't think ego is a bad thing. Ego is developed to protect our sensitive parts. But if I am nurturing that 7-year-old version of myself, then my ego doesn't have to puff up and perform, essentially, because I'm nurturing that part. So that's the benefit of inner child healing. It develops grounded confidence where you don't need the external validation of people showing you, like, people, you don't need people to see that you're worthy, because you find that internal worth. And I honestly feel like if we don't go back to our childhood, we're not really getting to the core of it. Because when we're 7, 11, 13, those are impressionable years where we develop who we are. So a lot of times people develop trauma adaptations where they think, oh, this is my personality. But it's actually not. It's a trauma adaptation that was developed to keep you safe or to make you fit in or be accepted or be loved. So when we start doing inner work, we actually discover who we truly are at our core without all of the layers of programming and trauma adaptations.
What if somebody is listening to this and they're maybe scared?
Yeah, it's okay to be scared. And that's the beauty of doing the work, I would say, in a space like what I've created with Bliss and my app, is that we don't have to dive in. I'm not a therapist that's like, oh, tell me all of your trauma.
Nobody wants to go through that.
Right? So it's a gentle way where if you just need to relax, just relax, create some safety in your body, rest, get some good sleep. And then when you start to feel like, I'm ready to peel back another layer, we can do that. And if you're like, I literally just want to feel good, that's okay. I want to not have anxiety. That's okay. Let's focus on the physical part. And when you're ready, your nervous system will want to learn more. And so it's done in a very gentle way. And I believe healing should be done at a pace that's safe for the nervous system.
100%. How do you incorporate sound bath therapy with shadow work?
So I have cards that I create that you pull a card when you come. And so I have them all face down. And so I ask the clients, like,
is it like tarot cards?
No, it's not tarot cards. So I created them myself, and
Okay.
it's basically journal prompts on cards. And I have a whole set of them. So I print several different ones. So I have
Mhm.
some for inner child healing. I have some for shadow work. I do new moon and full moon ones. I do eclipse season. So I make it really fun.
Fun.
So I tell them, use your intuition and pick the card that stands out to you the most. And it has a thought-provoking question on it. And literally every time a client pulls a card, they're like, this is exactly what I needed. This is the thing that's been coming up for me. This is the thing that I've been working on. So our
The universe
intuition
is guiding them.
our intuition always knows what we need. And
Mhm.
so it just plants a little seed, and then you relax in the sound bath, and you can share if you want. So I do small sessions for people. So it's a very safe space to talk about things that are weighing on you. So it's not like a big, you go to some sound baths that are 10, 20 people. You don't want to talk about something personal, but it's a small, intimate setting where people get to know each other and support each other. And I do healing your mother wound workshops, or workshops for women to build confidence. So it's a good energy to work on stuff. But if you're like, I honestly just want to feel good and get some good sleep, that's okay too.
Or they can do it with your app at home. They can start as a great starting point for them to do that. Because I think everything that we're reluctant in life to do is fear driven. And so I think just going right into it, and people that ego, the performance confidence part of the shadow work, it's going to catch up to them. And it gets to a point where it's got to be exhausting. And I think it's so important that people just really put them, that's part of understanding your nervous system and not being your authentic self, and putting yourself first. And maybe there's somebody that's been like that. I actually could think of a couple of people off the top of my head that are the textbook for that type of a person. And maybe they have nobody in the world they could talk to about it because they never talked to anybody in the world about it, but they're starting to think this is another great tool for them to start really getting into the core of who they are. Who they really are.
So many people go through life and never do this kind of work, but they're in marriages that they're unhappy with, they're in careers that they're unhappy with, and they have friends that they may not even really like. And when you need coffee to get up in the morning, usually that's an indication that either your nervous system is exhausted, or you're not happy with your life. And so I'm really passionate about people loving their life, being in healthy relationships. My slogan is, you deserve healthy love.
I love that. It's adorable. And it's true. Everybody deserves healthy love.
It's true. And the thing is, where we learned what love is was from our parents. And a lot of us were raised in ways that was controlling, manipulative, or taught us to suppress our emotions. So a lot of the inner work is unlearning that and learning autonomy, learning belonging. Don't shift who you are to fit in, belong, be who you are, and be around people that accept you for who you are, to where you don't have to perform to try to gain or earn their love. And understanding what your purpose is, understanding boundaries. I'm huge on boundaries. And I think women are learning that because women were taught to be selfless, but we're learning that that is leading to autoimmune diseases. And that's why so many women are struggling right now with their health, because they're taught to give to everyone else to where there's nothing left for them. I have on a framed photo in my studio, you can't pour from an empty cup. So every time people come into the studio, they're seeing this. So you have to pour into your cup. I believe in giving from your overflow, but so many people don't even know how to receive and allow support, allow joy and excitement in their life. So I'm working on the deep stuff, but in such a gentle, loving way.
I've learned so much. I could talk to you for hours. I've learned so much talking to you. Tell everybody how they can find you. I know you have an app, but I'll include it all, but just tell everyone where to find you, because you are just adorable. And I would feel so safe being in your presence, talking about anything. And I think that that's half the battle, is finding somebody that you're safe and comfortable with to start.
So I'm all over social media. My studio page is Bliss Wellness Tampa. So Instagram is the same thing, at Bliss Wellness Tampa. And then I also have a personal page at Niajae, Niajae. And then my app is Healthy Love Healing app, and it's on all app stores. So whether you have an Android or iPhone, you can download it in the app store. So it's really easy to find me. You can't miss the purple hair.
I love it. It's so cute. I just love it. It looks great.
Thank you.
Too. And I'll include that. I just thank you so much. You are officially a trauma rock star now. So welcome to the community.
Thank you.
It got me thinking about so much. I can't wait to go watch that movie.
Yes, it's so good.
I can't like to look at it now through a different lens. I'm excited about that. And I would love to come to one of your sound baths in the
anytime. Let me know.
So I'm so proud of everybody. And thank you for doing this for people too, because you're providing just an amazing tool for them to have a safe place to even just start exploring what might be going on. And you're adorable. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, you too.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
The content on this podcast revolves around personal life experiences and is meant to serve as a learning tool. I am not a certified therapist or medical expert. This podcast doesn't offer medical, psychological, or professional advice. If you're curious about your mental or physical well-being, feel free to reach out to a licensed healthcare professional for assistance.